Shalom. I just want to start up by saying, Call Layam La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem Rachakwadash. When to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone. Peace and salutations to Fulek and the Akin spreading this truth that's four corners of this earth. My name is Asha Allah, and tonight I just want to go into how tonight I just want to go into the MOTB, man, and making it plain upon tables. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This is Habakkuk. Scripture I want to start out with Habakkuk 2. And I'm going to just start at verse 2. And it says, And the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So we're going to go into the MOTB tonight, and we're going to make it plain upon tables, man, because this vision is coming to pass, man. This prophecy is coming to pass. It says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And we're seeing it happen before our very eyes, man. You got other camps out there saying that the MOTB is sin. We're also going to disprove that as well. Because the MOTB is the RFID implantable micro C hip, man. So let's hop right into it. This is Revelations. Revelations 13. I'm going to start verse 16. And it says, And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So how can you receive if the MOTB is sin? It says here, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. How can you receive sin? You simply can't. Sin is something that you commit. When you go into this word, it's charagma. And it says a stamp and imprinted mark. A mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. Mark branded upon horses, thing carved, sculpture, graven work. And so this charagma, is the implantable RFID micro C hip, man. It's something. It's the RFID C hip implanted in you, man. When you go into the root word, it's charax, which is a pale or stake or a palisade, man. And let's look that up real quick. Let's look up for a palisade. It says here, a fence of strong stakes, a stake or paling. Let's look up the word stake real quick. It says a pointed stick or post, and that pointed stick is the hypodermic needle in order to inject, or in order to break the skin to insert the RFID micro C hip, man. Right here. Oh man. You see the palisade, you see the stake, and then you see the charagma, man. And all I did was hypodermic needle And this is that Crocs, man, that stake that's going to be used to insert this micro C hip, man. And it's already happening worldwide. You know, you got people in Sweden being C hips. Hell, you got even people in America, being C hips for convenience sake, so they don't have to pull out their wallet, so they don't have to pull out, they can get into their apartment building easier, so they can get into their car without have to jingle for keys, it's straight laziness, man. And this is this is the charagma, man. The implantable RFID micro C hip, man. Oh, and real quick, I have some videos queued up that I want to play, which is going to go into the times that we're living in and the pushing of this C hip, man. So real quick, this is a video I'm gonna play that was just uploaded yesterday, and they're using the children through this TED Talk to get the children of the future or the children of tomorrow, prompt and hipped into getting this implant, man.
Would you believe me if I told you that society as we know it could be revolutionized for the better? As technology continues to advance at a rapid pace, we face new and thrilling opportunities to improve our lives. One of the most ambitious developments in recent years is the emergence of the microchip implant. These devices have been around for decades. However, recent advances in technology have made them more versatile and widely used. The implementation of the microchip implant is a swiftly growing trend that has the potential to revolutionize the way we live and interact with each other. Microchip implants are pivotal to proving the transhumanist theory that the next chapter in human evolution is the fusion of technology and the body. To begin with, it is vital to understand what the microchip implant is and how it functions. Microchip implants are passive electronic devices that are implanted in the palm of the hand, near the thumb. Microchip implants, that's right, in the palm of your hand. Microchip implants are essentially cylindrical barcodes that emit a signal through a layer of skin. These devices are approximately the size of a grain of rice. Now, it is especially paramount for our business community to understand the underlying benefits of the microchip implant and how we could leverage its applicability in our lives. Like I said before, the microchip implant has a multifaceted array of features and benefits, which may be pivotal to the next step in our community's safety and well-being. In Germany alone, over 20,000 people die every year during the administration of erroneous medication. Imagine this. You work for emergency services, and you've been called to save the life of an ailing person. Of course, your first instinct would be to administer the medication required to save the patient. 10% of all adverse drug reactions lead to severe allergic reactions, credited with thousands of fatalities connected to hasty medication administration. With the implementation of the microchip implant, the doctor or nurse will have the ability to have access to the patient's medical history and record. This can lead to improved patient outcomes and can even save lives. Another way the microchip implants are being used is through identification. With an implant, individuals can be securely identified in a large miscellany of contexts. For example, access control to secure areas, for example, opening your door or unlocking your car, voting, or even financial transactions. This can help prevent fraud and make our world a safer place. And of course, we cannot forget about the convenience factor. Imagine never having to fumble with your physical card ever again. Just wave your hand over the reader and done. Instant transaction. Plus, you look super cool paying with your hand. As with any revolutionary new technology,
And that's it. But you got this little boy, you know, presenting this implantable micro C hip, you know, as a convenience to society, man. You know, you no longer gotta tumble with medical records to see a person's medical history. You know, it helps against identity protection. You know, your digital ID is going to also be linked. Is going to be linked into this implantable C hip. You know, and also so will your banking and your financial needs, man. You know, buying and selling. You know, so real quick, let's go back. Let's go back and reread Revelations 13 and 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Like this little boy just said, it's going to be implanted in your right hand, something physical. Verse 17, that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. You know, so you won't be able to buy and sell. You won't be able to be a part of society without this RFID implantable C hip, man. You know, let's go to the next video that's queued up.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking. He wrote the book and did the documentary, The Princes of the Yen, about the Japanese central bank. Here he is in Malmo, Sweden, in May.
The nature of this CBDC, what is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it. He was invited to one of the old central banks in Europe that are very much promoting this. And they showed him. And, you know, he's a top, executive director of another central bank in Europe. And there's no reason to believe that he was telling me a story. And he was around this large and would be implanted under your skin.
Right. You know, about the size of a grain of rice. About the size of a grain of rice, you know, that would be implanted under your skin. You know, they're going to rule out cash. Cash is becoming obsolete. You know, cash is becoming no more a king. The way you're going to be able to buy and sell is through this digital currency. And they're going to enforce it. They already have the means to enforce it. They already have the technology to enforce it, to where if you don't have it, you will be outside of society. You will be an outcast. You will not be able to buy and sell. Now, you can't, it's not, the MARK is not sin. You know, you can't buy and sell with sin. You know, you're going up to the grocery store, the supermarket, and being able to buy and sell with the sins you committed. You know, that's not going to happen, man. Like, you see that these insiders, you know, the people that's juiced in, you know, the people that are the insiders, man, they're bringing this out. They're making it plain onto the masses, man. Real quick, let's grab this other one.
The revolution will lead to is a fusion. The fourth industrial revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities. So that's the first.
Right. In case you couldn't hear this bastard, it says what the fourth industrial revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities. You know, our physical flesh, when our digital identification, our digital information, our digital finances, because that's where the money is headed to, along with our biological, what makes us, our behavior, what makes us us. And real quick, let's just head to this
People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century. People could look back.
All right, let me just play it one more time.
People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century. People could look back.
They want to be able to hack you, want to be able to understand what makes you you, want to be able to put surveillance on you, man. And how will that happen? That'll happen through an RFID chip. It's like an RFID C-hip. Not SIN. They will put this device into you, which will fuse your physical and your biological, along with the digital assets, as far as your written information, which is grapho. We can go back to this Revelations 13 and 16. We went into what that charagma is. It's that RFID implantable micro C-hip. The root of that we went into was that charax, which is that that stake, that palisade, that hypodermic needle in which they're going to need in order to put this C-hip in you. And what is that C-hip going to contain? It's going to contain a grapho, written information. It says what? It says to write to one by writing in a written epistle to give information directions. So just as that little boy had explained it, it's going to have your medical, for the convenience of the doctor's sake, or the convenience of the medical field. It's going to have your identity, so they can so they'll be able to know who you are. They'll be able to track you. They'll be able to put you under surveillance. Be able to figure out what makes you you. And it'll have your financial. You'll be able to buy and sell. And without it, you won't be able to do that. Let's go back.
Have reacted to the truth coming out. They admit that they've been telling porkies, and now they propose to increase their power. So central bankers belatedly admit, oh, now that you've mentioned it, yes, banks create the money supply. So let's abolish that now. And also, by the way, let's abolish cash. So what should we do? Well, introduce digital cybercurrency that central banks issue and control, and thereby gain total control over all economic transactions, decisions, and the whole lot you've just heard from the CEO of the GDI. So the greatest concentration of central banking power in history is really the bid they're aiming at. That's the central bank's goal. And of course, digital accounts of dissenters and regime critics could be switched off. It'd be very difficult to even purchase necessities. So this is an Orwellian dystopia of total control, the end of any freedoms, that the whole lot you've just heard from the CEO of the GDI. So the greatest concentration of central banking power in history is really the bid they're aiming at. That's the central bank's goal. And of course, digital accounts of dissenters and regime critics could be switched off. It'd be very difficult to even purchase necessities. So this is an Orwellian dystopia of total control, the end of any freedoms. That's really what central banks are aiming at. Several central banks have, like the Bank of England, already prepared their microchip implant.
Right. So this guy, Richard Warner, he had just said, the main goal is to have control, to be able to switch you on and switch you off. So they will be able to determine whether you can buy or sell. That's Revelations 13, 16 to 17, man.
RFID chip to be implanted under your skin.
You said what?
Like in dystopia of total control, the end of any freedoms. That's really what central banks are aiming at. Several central banks have, like the Bank of England, already prepared their microchip implant, RFID chip, to be implanted under your skin. And why is the sudden discussion about universal basic income from all the grassroots and inverted commas movements?
Right. So these banks are already prepared a RFID micro C-hip to be implanted under your skin, which is going to provide you with a financial aspect and to be able to buy and sell, in which they can control. And they'll use incentives like a UBI, a universal basic income, give you about $1,500 to $2,000 every month. Like as they was doing in COVID, they were giving people an extra $600, whether you had children, or whether you were on unemployment, you were getting an extra incentive, so they were getting the people prepared. They were getting the people ready. Let's see.
CBDC in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues.
Right. So with this central banker had just said was that they can't control the use of cash. They can't tell whether you're using a $20 bill or a $100 bill, but through their CBDC system, in which they're going to push upon the masses, that they're going to be able to have absolute control and will be able to enforce enforce this.
Are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
All right, so I hear what sounds like controlling the finances, but give me.
So this is what this means. You will no longer have a currency. You will have a credit at the company store. If they don't want you traveling more than 5 miles from your home, your credit card, your bank account won't work more than 5 miles from your home. If they don't want you, let's say they decided you shouldn't be able to buy pizza, you can't buy pizza. You're talking about complete control, at a very intimate level of both surveillance, because remember, there's no privacy. They'll be able to track every transaction you make. So we're talking about a credit at the company store and literally a slavery system.
Right. You will be tracked in everything you do. how you feel, how you how hungry you are, you know, how much money you bringing in, you know, what you can and can't buy will be monitored, you know, will be enforced, will be regulated. You know, if you're speaking out against the system, if you're speaking, if you're saying things that are not pleasable onto these elites, they will cut you off. They will turn you off, man. You know, as Kanye West was the example, you know, spoke out against the small hats, and then in a matter of days, all his wealth became nothing. You know, all that he all that he had was of little to no use. They cut off his bank account. You know, he couldn't even use his Apple Pay. And it was something you create and you add a credit card to. You add a debit or a credit card to. Couldn't even use that to buy groceries. He was cut off within a matter of hours. Let's see. I want to fast forward this a little bit because just going to go through a little bit of what we've been saying, but it's to show you that these people is getting these implants already.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. It's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin.
Chip. Like a microchip.
Chapter 2. I will stand upon my...
And I believe this was a convention out in Sweden. But you see, people are lining up, putting their palm, they're putting their hand on the table and getting implanted with something physical. And you see the guy with the hypodermic needle putting that RFID chip in them. You know, they want total control over you. You would not have no privacy. You won't be able to buy and sell, as the scripture says, unless they say so, man, unless you have this device. You know, so going back, I'm gonna just reread Revelations 13 and 16 again. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a MARK, to receive that charagma, that RFID implantable micro chip in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the MARK or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now let's go to the judgment to those that received it. It says Revelations 14 in verse 9, it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his MARK in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So you're going to be missile food. You're going to be backstroking with the missiles, man. That's going to be the judgment for taking this device. You know, real quick, I just want to go to that word. Just want to go into that word revelation. It comes from the root word revel, which is it says from Latin revelare, reveal, uncover, disclose, literally unveil. So this is something new. This is something that is being unveiled. I think when you go into the word unveil, to make clear, you know. So this is something being brought forth that was prophesied on the John the Revelator, that will happen in the near future, man. It can't be sin, because sin's been around since the time of Adam, right? And let's go to another scripture to show that this is physical. This is Revelation 16 and verse 2. And it says, and the first went out and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them that worshipped his image. Now, when you go into this word, sore, because this sore is going to happen unto those that have this RFID implantable micro C-hip. You go onto this word sore, says what? It says a sore. It says a wound, especially a wound producing a discharge pus, a sore, and ulcer. Now let's do a quick look up on that word ulcer. And it says an ulcer is an open sore on an external or internal surface of the body caused by a break in the skin or mucous membrane that fails to heal. Now, it's caused by a break in the skin. So that grievous sore is going to be caused by something that was broke, that by something that RFID, implantable micro C-hip, that broke the skin. Through what? Through that Karax. Let's go back. Let's go back and look at that video.
When I am
What? They're literally breaking the skin. Literally breaking the skin, implanting this RFID micro C-hip, man. So this MOTB is something physical. It's the RFID implantable micro C-hip. You know, so hopefully this was edifying. You know, it was made plain upon tables. You know, I just went in and out by saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachah Kwadash. Want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone. Peace and salutations to all for lacking the Akis, spreading his truth at the four corners of this earth. Shalom.